This conference will now be recorded.
Good morning, students. At present, we are discussing the Rankins active earth pressure theory. In the previous classes, we started the Rankins active earth pressure theory. In the year 1857, Rankine proposed this earth pressure theory. In the Rankins earth pressure theory, the backfill is considered as portionless soil. In the Rankins earth pressure theory, the backfill is considered as portionless soil. And in the previous classes, we discussed the Rankins active earth pressure theory in the portionless backfill. Different conditions we discussed in that Rankins active earth pressure theory. When the backfill is moist condition with uniform soil and also with layered soil. Then we discussed the effect of water table on the active earth pressures. Then we discussed the surcharge acting on the backfill. And in the last class, we discussed the inclined surface of the backfill. When the backfill surface, top surface is inclined surface, we discussed the active earth pressure equation. In all these conditions, the Rankins active earth pressure theory assumes in all these conditions, the Rankins active earth pressure theory assumes the backside of the retaining wall is the vertical side. In all these conditions, the Rankins active earth pressure theory assumes the backside of the retaining wall is vertical surface. So like this. I will show you that in the PPT. Please check that carefully. In all these conditions, we consider the retaining wall back is a vertical surface. So like this. This is the backside of the retaining wall, vertical surface. But sometimes the retaining wall back surface is a inclined surface. So like this. This is the inclined surface of the retaining wall. The backside of the retaining wall is the inclined surface. So please watch these two diagrams carefully. Please, coming to this diagram here, the backside of the retaining wall is not the vertical surface. The backside of the retaining wall is an inclined surface. Now, when the backside of the retaining wall is an inclined surface, how can we apply the Rankins active earth pressure theory? So please everyone focus on these diagrams. In those two diagrams, in the first diagram, the top of the backfill is a horizontal surface. So check this please. In the first diagram, the top of the backfill is horizontal surface, whereas the backside of the retaining wall is an inclined surface, not vertical surface. In the second diagram, the top of the backfill is an inclined surface. The top of the backfill is an inclined surface, and also the backside of the retaining wall is an inclined surface. So in these two diagrams, the backside of the retaining wall is not vertical surface. The backside of the retaining wall is an inclined surface. Now, how can we apply the Rankins active earth pressure theory if the backside of the retaining wall is an inclined surface? So please everyone follow this carefully. When the backside of the retaining wall is an inclined surface, how can we apply the Rankins active earth pressure theory? When the backside of retaining wall is an inclined surface, we modify slightly the Rankins active earth pressure theory. A slight modification is made in the Rankins active earth pressure theory when the backside of the retaining wall is an inclined surface. Actually, the Rankins active earth pressure theory, it assumes the backside of the retaining wall is vertical. We can apply the Rankins active earth pressure theory, PA, active earth pressure, PA is equal to Ka into gamma into Z. That is the Rankins active earth pressure equation. You can apply that Rankins active earth pressure equation if the backside of the retaining wall is on a vertical surface. But here, sometimes the backside of the retaining wall is an inclined surface. In that case, first we consider this is called the bottom of the retaining wall. This is the top of the retaining wall and this is the bottom of the retaining wall. That is point B. So here point A is the top of the retaining wall on the back side. On the back side of the retaining wall, point A is at the top of the retaining wall. On the back side of the retaining wall, point B is the bottom of the retaining wall. From that bottom of the retaining wall on the back side, first draw the vertical line in the backfill. So follow this carefully. When the backside of the retaining wall is an inclined surface, we slightly modify the Rankins active earth pressure theory. Check this backside of the retaining wall. The backside of the retaining wall is AB, inclined backside of the retaining wall. It is not vertical. The line AB is not vertical. The line AB is inclined. So when the backside of the retaining wall is the inclined surface, from the bottom of the retaining wall, first, that is from point B. From the bottom of the retaining wall, first draw the vertical line up to the top of the backfill. So this BC is the vertical line. BC is the vertical line. Point B is the bottom of the retaining wall on the back side. From point B, draw the vertical line in the backfill. BC is that vertical line. Then consider the soil in this wedge ABC. Consider the backfill soil in that wedge ABC. So here in this triangle ABC, that is called wedge. In the triangle ABC, we have the backfill soil. Take W is the weight of that backfill soil in the triangle or in the wedge ABC. We can find out that area of the triangle ABC. Consider the unit thickness of the triangle ABC. We can calculate the volume of the wedge ABC, area into thickness. Take gamma is the bulk unit weight of the backfill soil. So that weight W of the backfill soil in the triangle ABC is equal to gamma into the volume of wedge ABC. So find out that weight W of the soil in the backside of the retaining wall on the triangular wedge ABC. Then consider now this BC is the vertical side of the retaining wall. Consider this BC is the vertical side of the retaining wall. H is the height of that vertical side of the retaining wall. First to find out the weight W of the soil in the triangular wedge ABC. Then consider this BC is the vertical side of the retaining wall of height H. Apply the Rankins active earth pressure theory equations. We know that if the backside of retaining wall is vertical, we can apply the Rankins active earth pressure theory. PA is equal to Ka into gamma into Z. Apply that because BC is vertical. So you can apply that Rankins active earth pressure theory directly on the vertical side BC in the diagram. Then calculate this active earth pressure force from the pressure distribution diagram, PAV. PAV is called the average active earth pressure force acting on the retaining wall. If this backfill is dry backfill, at the top active earth pressure is 0 because Z is equal to 0. At the bottom active earth pressure is Ka into gamma into H because at the bottom Z is equal to H. So find out the area of the triangle, that is pressure distribution diagram. The area of the triangle gives the active earth pressure force PAV. That is the average active earth pressure force acting on the retaining wall. Now here two forces are there. In this diagram, first diagram, on the backfill, two forces are acting. One is the weight W. This is the weight of the backfill soil in the wedge ABC. Next one is the average active earth pressure force PAV. You can find out this PAV directly by using the Rankins active earth pressure equation. According to Rankins active earth pressure equation, the active earth pressure PA is equal to Ka into gamma into Z. At the top of the retaining wall, Z is equal to 0. So the active earth pressure at the top of the retaining wall is 0. At the bottom of the retaining wall, Z is equal to H. So at the bottom of the retaining wall, the active earth pressure is PA into gamma into H. The distribution is the triangular distribution. Find out the area of the triangle. The triangle at the pressure diagram. That area gives the active earth pressure force PAV. That is called average active earth pressure force acting on the retaining wall. Now the retaining wall subjected to two forces. One is the W, next one is PAV. Then find out the resultant active earth pressure force acting on the retaining wall PA. Here PA is equal to square root of W square plus PAV square. PA, that is the resultant active earth pressure force acting on the retaining wall PA is equal to square root of W square plus PAV whole square. This is the modification in the Rankins active earth pressure if the backside of the retaining wall is the inclined surface, inclined backside. Similarly here also in the second diagram. Here also the backside of the retaining wall is not vertical. The backside of the retaining wall is the inclined surface. A is the top of the retaining wall on the backside. B is the bottom of the retaining wall on the backside. It is inclined surface. But you can apply the Rankins active earth pressure theory only when the backside of the retaining wall is vertical backside. So from point B, draw the vertical in the backfill up to the top. Draw the vertical from point B to the top of the backfill. BC is that vertical line. Take the height of that BC as H, height of that vertical line BC. Then find out the weight of the soil in the triangular wedge ABC. That is the weight of the backfill soil in the triangular wedge ABCW. Then consider BC is the vertical surface of this retaining wall. Take this BC is the vertical surface. Then here this top of the backfill is inclined surface. Last class we discussed when the top of the backfill is inclined surface, according to Rankins active earth pressure theory, the active earth pressure PA is equal to Ka into gamma into Z. But in the inclined surface, we know that in the horizontal surface, Ka is equal to 1 minus sin phi by 1 plus sin phi. Whereas in the inclined surface, last class we discussed, in the inclined surface, Ka, the active earth pressure coefficient, the coefficient of active earth pressure Ka in the inclined surface is cos I into cos I minus square root of cos square I minus cos square phi divided by cos I plus square root of cos square I minus cos square phi. That is the active earth pressure coefficient when the backfill top surface is an inclined surface. Apply the Rankins active earth pressure theory by using that equation of Ka in the inclined backside, in the inclined backfill surface. Then we will get the pressure distribution diagram on the line BC at the top. Z is equal to 0. That is at point C, Z is equal to 0. At point B, Z is equal to H. You will get the pressure distribution diagram, active earth pressure distribution diagram behind the retaining wall. Find out the area of the active earth pressure distribution diagram. That area gives the active earth pressure force PAV acting on the retaining wall. So here also the retaining wall subjected to two forces. One is W, weight of the backfill soil. Next one is the average active earth pressure force PAV. Then find out this PA, the resultant active earth pressure, by considering the W and PAV. By considering these two values, find out this resultant active earth pressure. So this is the procedure we adopted when the backside of the retaining wall is an inclined backside. So we will find out the weight of the soil wedge in the triangular portions ABC in both cases. Then we apply the Rankins active earth pressure by considering the backside of the retaining wall BC as the vertical side. Then we calculate the resultant active earth pressure force by considering the weight W and the average active earth pressure force PAV. So this is the Rankins active earth pressure theory application when the backside of the retaining wall is the inclined surface. So in the unit 3 earth retaining structures, so far we discussed the Rankins active earth pressure theory when the backfill is a cohesionless soil. When the backfill is a cohesionless soil. In the year 1857, Rankine proposed this active earth pressure theory to find out the magnitude of active earth pressures acting on the retaining walls by considering the backfill is a cohesionless soil. But later on, the Rankine's active earth pressure theory is updated to cohesive soils also. We know that we have basically two types of soils. One is the cohesionless soil, next one is the cohesive soil. In the year 1857, the Rankine's active earth pressure theory was developed by assuming the backfill as a cohesionless soil. So far, we discussed the active earth pressure theory of Rankines. So far, we discussed the Rankines active earth pressure theory by assuming the backfill as a cohesionless soil. Whereas, in the year, just a minute please, I will show you that. Two researchers called Russell and Bell. Two researchers in the year 1915. That is this. In the year 1915, two researchers, Russell and Bell, they updated the Rankine's active earth pressure theory so that the Rankine's active earth pressure theory is also applicable to cohesive soils. Initially, the Rankine's active earth pressure theory is applicable only for cohesionless soils. Whereas in the year 1915, Russell and Bell, these two researchers, they modified the Rankine's active earth pressure theory, they updated so that the Rankine's active earth pressure theory is also applicable to the cohesive soils. Now we are going to discuss what is this Rankine's active earth pressure theory if the backfill is a cohesive soil. So in the today's class, I am going to discuss with you the Rankine's active earth pressure theory for the moist cohesive backfill or the dry cohesive backfill. That is, the backfill soil is a cohesive soil. So far we discussed the Rankine's active earth pressure theory if the backfill is a cohesionless soil. But in the year 1915, Russell and Bell, they did a lot of work on the Rankine's active earth pressure theory and they updated the Rankine's earth pressure theory so that it is also applicable to the cohesive soils. So we are going to discuss now what is this Rankine's active earth pressure theory if the backfill is a cohesive soil. Before going to discuss the Rankine's active earth pressure theory for cohesive soils, first Let us discuss the Coulomb-Moore equation for the shear strength of soil in cohesive soils. The Coulomb-Moore equation for the shear strength of soil in cohesive condition. So please check that carefully. Already we know the shear strength of the soil when the soil is cohesive soil is given by S is equal to, that is the shear strength. It is also indicated as tau, both are same. S is equal to, tau is equal to C plus sigma tan phi. This is the Coulomb-Moore equation for the shear strength of the soil. S is equal to C plus sigma tan phi. In that equation, S or tau is the shear strength of the soil. C is the cohesion in the soil. The attraction between the soil particles is called cohesion. Sigma is the normal stress acting on the soil. Phi is the angle of shearing resistance of the soil. Angle of shearing resistance. So in the cohesive soils, the shear strength of the soil according to Coulomb-Moore equation is given by S is equal to C plus sigma tan phi. We can represent this equation S is equal to C plus sigma tan phi in the form of graph. The shear strength equation S is equal to C plus sigma tan phi can be represented in the form of the graph. In that graph, the shear strength tau is taken on y-axis. The normal stress sigma is taken on x-axis. We are going to represent this equation in the form of graph. In that graph, the shear strength tau is taken on y-axis. The normal stress sigma is taken on x-axis. Now this equation is in the form of y is equal to mx plus c. This equation is in the form of y is equal to m into x plus c. You know that y is equal to mx plus c is a straight line. It is not passing through horizon. It intersects the y-axis. So from horizon up to that y-axis intersection, the distance is c. So we are going to see what is the graphical representation of this equation of shear strength S is equal to C plus sigma tan phi in cohesive soils. This is the representation. So check that carefully. So if the soil is cohesive soil, the shear strength S is equal to, that is the Coulomb-Moore equation, S is equal to C plus sigma tan phi. If that equation is represented graphically by taking the shear strength on y-axis, that is tau, and by taking the normal stress sigma on x-axis, according to that equation S is equal to C plus sigma tan phi, you will get the straight line like this. This is called the failure envelope of the cohesive soil. This straight line is called the failure envelope of the cohesive soil. The equation of that straight line or the failure envelope is tau is equal to, or S is equal to C plus sigma tan phi. So this equation is in the form of y is equal to mx plus c form. This is y is equal to mx plus c. So this straight line, it is not passing through horizon because it is the equation is y is equal to mx plus c form. It is not passing through horizon. This straight line will intersect the y-axis, that is the shear strength axis. From this horizon up to that intersection, the distance is c, that is cohesion. From horizon up to this intersection, the distance, vertical distance is c, that indicates the cohesion of the cohesive soil. With horizontal, this failure envelope will make an angle, that is phi. This phi is called the angle of shearing resistance of the soil. With horizontal, that straight line in the cohesive soil, the failure envelope in the cohesive soil will make an angle phi, that is called the angle of internal friction of the soil. Now, if the stresses in the cohesive soil is below the failure envelope, if the stresses in the cohesive soil below the failure envelope, the cohesive soil is safe condition. Otherwise, if the Morse stress circle of the cohesive soil if the Morse stress circle of the Kosu soil lies below the failure envelope, the Kosu soil is safe. If the Morse stress circle of the Kosu soil touches the failure envelope, the Kosu soil is under failure condition. So, according to Morse Coulomb equation in the Kosu soils, the shear strength S is equal to C plus sigma tan phi. That equation can be represented in the form of graph. This is the graph we are getting from that equation. This straight line is called the failure envelope. This straight line with the y-axis intersection, it is cuts the y-axis at this location. From origin up to that point of intersection, the vertical distance is the quotient. That failure envelope the horizontal making the angle phi, that is called the angle of internal friction of soil. Now with this introduction of the Kosu soils, we are going to discuss the Rankin's active earth pressure theory for the Kosu soil. Just now we discussed Bell and Russell in the year 1915. They updated the Rankin's active earth pressure theory so that we can apply the Rankin's active earth pressure theory for the Kosu soils also. Please everyone focus on the diagram in the cell phone screens. Dear students, please give me the response. Can you see this picture on the cell phone screens? Is it visible? Can you see that picture on the cell phone screens? The Kosu backfill. Is it visible on the cell phone screens? Can you see this picture on the cell phone screens? The Kosu backfill. I am going to explain the Rankin's active earth pressure theory if the backfill is a Kosu backfill. Can you see that picture on the cell phones? Please give me the response. Is it visible on the cell phones? Anyone give me the response? Can you see that picture on the cell phones? In your cell phones? Is it visible on the cell phones? Give me the response. Okay, thank you. Coming to this Rankin's active earth pressure theory for the Kosu backfill. So far we discussed the Rankin's active earth pressure theory for quotientless soil. But we can also apply the Rankin's active earth pressure theory for the Kosu backfill. Russell and Bell. According to Russell and Bell modifications, the Rankin's active earth pressure theory is also applicable to the Kosu backfill. Now coming to that application of the Rankin's active earth pressure theory for the Kosu backfill. So here the retaining wall is supporting the Kosu backfill. The soil in this backfill is a Kosu soil. Assume that this Kosu soil is in the moist condition, that is partially saturated. In that moist condition, take gamma is the bulk unit weight of the Kosu soil. So here the retaining wall supporting the Kosu backfill. The soil in the backfill is a Kosu soil. We consider that backfill, Kosu backfill is in the moist condition, partially saturated condition. So in that moist condition, take gamma is the bulk unit weight of that Kosu soil. First, let us assume the retaining wall is in rest condition. First, let us assume the retaining wall is in rest condition. So the backfill is also in the rest condition. First, we assume the retaining wall is in the rest condition. So the Kosu backfill is also in the rest condition. Dear students, we know that when the backfill is in the rest condition, the backfill is in elastic equilibrium condition. In the rest condition, there is no stretching of the backfill. There is no compression of the backfill in the rest condition. So in the rest condition, there is no failure in the backfill. Due to that, in the rest condition, we consider the backfill is in elastic equilibrium condition. Now, Consider the soil element in the backfill at a depth z from the top of the backfill. So check that in the diagram. When the backfill is in rest condition, when the Kosu backfill is in rest condition, from the top of the backfill at a depth z, consider the soil element. In the rest condition, the soil element is subjected to two stresses. One is the vertical stress sigma v, next one is the horizontal stress sigma h. In the rest condition, in the rest condition, this soil element is subjected to two stresses. One is the vertical normal stress sigma v. On this plane of the soil element, the vertical stress is normal. So sigma v is the vertical normal stress acting on the soil element. The next one is the horizontal normal stress on the soil element. On this vertical plane of the soil element, sigma h is perpendicular. So sigma h is the normal horizontal stress acting on the soil element. So in the rest condition, the soil element is subjected to two normal stresses. One is the vertical normal stress sigma v, next one is the horizontal normal stress sigma h. No shear stress acting on the soil element. No shear stress acting on the soil element. Sigma v is normal to horizontal plane of the element. Sigma h normal to vertical plane of the element. Since there is no shear stress acting on the soil element, we consider sigma v as the major principal stress sigma 1. Sigma h is the minor principal stress sigma 3. Since there is no shear stress acting on the soil element, sigma v vertical stress is perpendicular to horizontal plane of the element. Sigma h is perpendicular to vertical plane of the element. In the rest condition, sigma v is the major principal stress acting on the soil element, that is sigma 1. Sigma h is the minor principal stress acting on the soil element, that is sigma 3. Since the backfill is in rest condition, sigma h is equal to P naught, that is the horizontal earth pressure at rest condition. Here the backfill is in rest condition, so sigma h is equal to the horizontal earth pressure at rest condition, that is P naught. You know that P naught is equal to K naught into sigma v. K naught is the coefficient of at rest earth pressure. In the rest condition, the horizontal earth pressure P naught is equal to K naught into sigma v. So here this sigma h is equal to, in the diagram, sigma h is equal to K naught into sigma v, that is also equal to P naught, the horizontal at rest earth pressure. So consider this soil element carefully. The soil element is in the rest condition. Since the soil element is in rest condition, the at rest active earth pressure, the at rest horizontal earth pressure is acting on the soil element. This is the condition of the soil element. First we consider the retaining wall is in the rest condition. So the backfill, Kosu backfill is also in the rest condition. In the rest condition, the Kosu backfill is in elastic equilibrium condition, no failure. At a depth z from the top of the backfill, we consider the soil element. The soil element is subjected to two stresses, sigma v, sigma h. Sigma v is the normal stress, sigma h is also normal stress. No shear stress acting on the element. So sigma v is the major principal stress sigma 1. Sigma h is the minor principal stress sigma 3. Since the element is in rest condition, sigma h is equal to P naught, the at rest horizontal earth pressure P naught, that is equal to K naught into sigma v. Now consider sigma v, sigma 1. Considering sigma v, sigma 1, prepare the Morse stress circle. This is the Morse stress circle. The stress circle 1, check this Morse stress circle. By considering the vertical stress sigma v as the major principal stress, the horizontal stress sigma h is the minor principal stress. In the rest condition, prepare this Morse stress circle. In the Kosu backfill, the first stress circle, Morse stress circle. This is the Mohr stress circle when the backfill is in rest condition. Sigma V, that is at point B, is the major principal stress acting on the element. Sigma H is the minor principal stress acting on the element. So prepare this Mohr stress circle 1 for this soil element when the element is in rest condition. Observe this Mohr stress circle 1. The Mohr stress circle 1 is below the failure envelope of the Kosu soil. We discussed already in the Kosu soil we have this failure envelope. So check the Mohr stress circle 1. The Mohr stress circle 1 in the rest condition is below the failure envelope. So in the rest condition, the backfill is not subjected to failure. The backfill is in elastic equilibrium condition. But we are discussing the active earth pressure in the Kosu backfill. We know that in the active condition, the retaining wall is moving away from the backfill. Now, when the retaining wall is moving away from the backfill in the active condition, sigma V remains constant. In the active condition, when the retaining wall is moving away from the backfill, sigma V remains constant. But in the active condition, when the retaining wall is moving away from the backfill subjected to horizontal stretching. Because of that stretching, the stress sigma H gradually decreases. In the active condition, the stress sigma H gradually decreases because the backfill is in relaxation, stretching condition. Now, just at the beginning of the active condition, when the retaining wall just starts moving away from the backfill, slightly this sigma H decreases. Horizontal stress slightly decreases. When sigma H decreases, so here this is the rest condition. This point is the rest condition. In the active condition, this H sigma H gradually decreases. When sigma H gradually decreases, on the x-axis, the sigma H is moving towards the horizon. So check this carefully. Here in the first Mohr stress circle, sigma H is the rest condition. In the beginning of the active condition, sigma H slightly decreases. So the sigma H is moving slightly towards the horizon. It is coming to this location. Whereas sigma V remains constant. No change in the point B, remains constant. Now this is the second Mohr stress circle in the beginning of the active condition. In the beginning of the active condition, when the retaining wall just moves away from the backfill, sigma H slightly decreases. So this sigma H in the rest condition is moving towards the horizon. So you will get the second Mohr stress circle at the beginning of the active condition. No change in the vertical stress, remains same. Now, when the retaining wall in the active condition further moving away from the backfill, this sigma H gradually decreases. At one stage, the sigma H in the backfill, Kosu backfill, reaches the minimum value. So please follow this carefully. In the active condition, when the retaining wall starts moving away from the backfill, the stress sigma H gradually decreases. At one stage, the sigma H reaches the minimum value in the active condition. Once this sigma H becomes a minimum, if this sigma H in the backfill becomes a minimum in the active condition, then the backfill is under failure condition. At a minimum horizontal stress sigma H, the backfill behind the retaining wall in the active condition reaches the failure condition, that is called the plastic equilibrium condition of the backfill. So at a minimum sigma H, the backfill behind the retaining wall in the active condition reaches the failure situation, that is called the plastic equilibrium condition. At that minimum sigma H, at the minimum horizontal stress sigma H, the Mohr stress circle touches the failure envelope. That is this third Mohr stress circle. The third Mohr stress circle, vertical stress remains constant, but this horizontal stress gradually decreases. When the horizontal stress gradually decreases in the active condition, this sigma H is moving towards the horizon. So the Mohr stress circle diameter increases. At one stage, when this sigma H becomes a minimum, the Mohr stress circle touches the failure envelope. When the more stress circle touches the failure envelope, the backfill behind the retaining wall in the active condition is in failure condition. That is in the plastic equilibrium condition. The minimum value of sigma h in the Kosu backfill. The minimum value of sigma h in the Kosu backfill when the backfill is Kosen soil is called the active earth pressure PA in the Kosu backfill. The minimum horizontal stress sigma h in the Kosu backfill when the backfill is in failure condition in the active situation is called the minimum is called the active earth pressure PA. So this is that active earth pressure PA. The length OA on this x-axis, that is normal stress axis. The length OA on the normal stress axis is the minimum value of sigma h of the Kosu backfill in the active condition, that is called the active earth pressure in the Kosu backfill. Now, by considering this third Morse stress circle, that is at the failure condition of the Kosu backfill in the active condition, we are going to prepare the equation for this PA, active earth pressure in the Kosu backfill. So, in the Kosu backfill, focus on the failure envelope. In the Kosu soils, this is the failure envelope. This titan is the failure envelope. This failure envelope with y-axis is having the intercept, that is the quotient C. With horizontal, the failure envelope is making the angle phi. In the active condition, the Kosu backfill, this third Morse stress circle is the active condition of the Kosu backfill. So by using this third Morse stress circle and also by using this failure envelope, we can prepare the equation for the active earth pressure in the Kosu backfill. So please check that carefully. So we consider the third Morse stress circle to prepare the equation for the active earth pressure PA in the Kosu backfill. What is that active earth pressure? The length OA is the active earth pressure. This length OA is the active earth pressure in the Kosu backfill. We are going to prepare the equation for that active earth pressure PA in the Kosu backfill by considering the failure envelope of the Kosu soil and the third Morse stress circle when the backfill is in failure condition in the active situation. So by using that failure Morse stress circle, the Morse stress circle at the failure condition and this failure envelope, we are going to prepare the equation for this active earth pressure PA. Now check this failure envelope first. Look at the failure envelope. The failure envelope is having the intercept on the y-axis, that is on the shear stress axis. That intercept OE is the quotient C. In the active condition, when the backfill in the active condition reaches the failures, the Morse stress circle touches the failure envelope. AB is the Morse stress circle, third Morse stress circle. AB is the Morse stress circle at the time of failure of the backfill in the active condition. Let that Morse stress circle AB touches the failure envelope at point D. Let this Morse stress circle AB touches the failure envelope at point D. C is the center of the Morse stress circle in the failure condition at active situation. The length OA is the active earth pressure of the Kosu backfill in the active condition. Then OB is the vertical stress sigma V. The length OB is the vertical stress. It is also the major principal stress sigma V, sigma 1. The length OA is the active earth pressure of the Kosu backfill, that is equal to the minor principal stress or the horizontal stress. Then check this failure envelope. The failure envelope with horizontal making the angle phi. First, before going to prepare the equation for this active earth pressure in the Kosu soil, first extend this failure envelope in the back side. Extend the failure envelope in the back side. Let this failure envelope touches the x-axis at point F. Extend the failure envelope in the back side. Let this failure envelope touches the x-axis at point F. So here we have that right angle triangle EOEF. Check that right angle triangle. Here we have the right angle triangle OEF. We know that with horizontal, the failure envelope is making the angle phi. So first consider this right angle triangle OEF. In this right angle triangle, cot phi. What is cot theta? Definition: cot theta is equal to adjacent side by opposite side. Tan theta is equal to opposite side by adjacent side, whereas cot theta is equal to adjacent side by opposite side. So take that right angle triangle OEF in the diagram. In that right angle triangle OEF with respect to phi, OE is the opposite side. The length OE is equal to C. OF is the adjacent side. So cot phi is equal to adjacent side OF divided by opposite side OE, that is C. So cot phi is equal to OF divided by OE. Therefore, cot phi is equal to OF divided by C. So this length OF is equal to C cot phi. The length OF is equal to C cot phi. The length OA is sigma 3. The length OA is sigma 3. That is also equal to sigma h. That is also equal to the active horizontal earth pressure PA. The length OB is sigma V. So in the diagram, AB is the Morse stress circle in the failure condition of backfill. AB is the Morse stress circle at the failure of Kosu backfill in the active condition. That Morse stress circle AB touches the failure envelope at point D. We are going to prepare the equation for the active earth pressure OA in the Kosu backfill. To prepare the equation for that OA active earth pressure, first we extend the failure envelope backside. It meets the x-axis at point F. We consider the right angle triangle OEF in the diagram. In that right angle triangle OEF, cot phi is equal to OF divided by OE, that is equal to OF divided by C. So the length OF is equal to C cot phi. The length OA is active earth pressure PA, that is also equal to sigma 3. The length OB is equal to the major principal stress sigma 1, that is also equal to vertical stress sigma V. Then consider the right angle triangle OCD in the diagram. The right angle triangle OCD, the right angle triangle CDF in the diagram. This is the right angle triangle CDF. Now in this right angle triangle CDF with respect to phi, FD, DF is the adjacent side. With respect to phi, DF is the adjacent side. CD is the opposite side, and CF is the hypotenuse. The length CD is the radius of this Morse stress circle. What is the diameter of this Morse stress circle? AB. That is equal to sigma 1 minus sigma 3. Sigma 1 is the vertical stress, sigma 3 is the horizontal stress, PA. So the diameter of this Morse stress circle is sigma 1 minus sigma 3. So the radius CD of the Morse stress circle is sigma 1 minus sigma 3 by 2. So consider the right angle triangle CDF in the diagram. In that right angle triangle CDF, sin phi. Sin phi is equal to opposite side is CD divided by hypotenuse is FC. Opposite side is CD divided by hypotenuse is FC. That opposite side, that FC can be written as the length FC is equal to OF plus OC. So check that length FC in the diagram here. This is hypotenuse FCF. The length CF is equal to the length OF plus the length OC. The length OF is C cot phi. The length OC is equal to OA plus AC. What is OA? Sigma 3. What is AC? Sigma 1 minus sigma 3 by 2. So this length OC is equal to sigma 3 plus sigma 1 minus sigma 3 by 2. So this length OC is equal to sigma 1 plus sigma 3 by 2. So the length CF is equal to the length OC plus the length OF. The length OC is sigma 1 plus sigma 3 by 2. The length OF is C cot phi. That is the total length of CF. Whereas the length CD is equal to sigma 1 minus sigma 3 by 2. So, in this sin phi, opposite side by hypotenuse, CD by FC, we know this length FC is equal to OF plus OC. The length OC is sigma 1 plus sigma 3 by 2. The length OF is C cot phi. The length CD is sigma 1 minus sigma 3 by 2. So sin phi is equal to sigma 1 minus sigma 3 by 2 divided by OF C cot phi plus OC sigma 1 plus sigma 3 by 2. Then bring this denominator to the left side. Simplify this equation. You will get from that equation. So from that equation, sin phi, just now we discussed, sin phi is equal to sigma 1 minus sigma 3 by 2 divided by C cot phi plus sigma 1 plus sigma 3 by 2. From this equation, sigma 1 minus sigma 3 by 2 is equal to, bring this denominator to the left side. Then expand that sin phi into this value. So first term, sin phi into C cot phi. You know that cot phi is equal to cos phi by sin phi. So sin phi into C cot phi is C sin phi, C cos phi, because cot phi is equal to cos phi by sin phi. So the first product sin phi into C cot phi, sin phi will cancel. So it is C cos phi plus the second term sigma 1 plus sigma 3 by 2 into sin phi. That is the second term. So from this equation, you will get sigma 1 minus sigma 3 by 2 is equal to C cos phi plus sigma 1 plus sigma 3 by 2 into sin phi. Take this 2 LCM in the right side. Take the 2 LCM in the right side and cancel this 2 on both sides. From this equation, you will get sigma 1 minus sigma 3 is equal to 2C cos phi plus sigma 1 plus sigma 3 into sin phi. So take 2 as LCM in the right side. So it is a 2C cos phi plus sigma 1 plus sigma 3 sin phi. Cancel that 2 on both sides. So sigma 1 minus sigma 3 is equal to 2C cos phi plus sigma 1 plus sigma 3 sin phi. Expand this equation on the right side. Expand this equation. So after the expansion, sigma 1 minus sigma 3 is equal to 2C cos phi plus sigma 1 sin phi plus sigma 3 sin phi. So expand that on the right side. Sigma 1 minus sigma 3 is equal to 2C cos phi plus sigma 1 sin phi plus sigma 3 sin phi. Then bring the sigma 1 terms on one side, sigma 3 terms on other side. So here from this equation, sigma 1 minus sigma 3 is equal to 2C cos phi plus sigma 1 sin phi plus sigma 3 sin phi. Bring the sigma 1 terms on one side. Here we have sigma 1 sin phi on the right side, whereas on the left side we have plus sigma 1. Bring that plus sigma 1 to the right side, minus sigma 1. So on the right side, it is sigma 1 into 1 minus sin phi. Sigma 1 into 1 minus sin phi. Here the sigma 1 is positive on the left side, whereas on the right side it is sigma 1 sin phi positive. Bring that sigma 1 sin phi to the left side, and now the left side it is sigma 1 minus sigma 1 sin phi. So sigma 1 into 1 minus sin phi is equal to, on the right side, 2C cos phi plus on the right side we have sigma 3 sin phi, whereas on the left side we have minus sigma 3. Bring that minus sigma 3 to the right side, it is plus sigma 3. So on the right side we have sigma 3 sin phi plus sigma 3. So it is sigma 3 into 1 plus sin phi. So simplify this equation first. Sigma 1 minus sigma 3 is equal to 2C cos phi plus sigma 1 sin phi plus sigma 3 sin phi. Bring the sigma 1 terms on one side, sigma 3 terms on other side. You will get this final equation as sigma 1 into 1 minus sin phi is equal to sigma 3 into 1 plus sin phi plus 2C cos phi. In this equation, take this plus 2C cos phi to the left side. Take this plus 2C cos phi to the left side. This equation becomes as sigma 3 into 1 plus sin phi is equal to sigma 1 into 1 minus sin phi minus 2C cos phi. Then from that equation, you will get sigma 3 alone. So bring this plus 2C cos phi to the left side. This equation becomes as sigma 3 into 1 plus sin phi is equal to sigma 1 into 1 minus sin phi minus 2c cos phi. Therefore, sigma 3 is equal to 1 minus sin phi by 1 plus sin phi into sigma 1 minus 2c cos phi by 1 plus sin phi. This is the sigma 3 equation in the Kosu backfill in active condition. We know that in the active condition, sigma 3 is the horizontal active earth pressure PA. In the active condition, sigma 3, the minor principal stress, sigma 3 is the horizontal stress, sigma 3 is equal to sigma h, but in the active condition, sigma 3 is also equal to the active earth pressure PA. So from equation 1, you can write that sigma 3 as the active earth pressure in the Kosu backfill. So the active earth pressure equation in the Kosu backfill is given by PA is equal to 1 minus sin phi by 1 plus sin phi into sigma v minus 2c cos phi by 1 plus sin phi. But you know that this vertical stress sigma 1 is sigma v, that is gamma z. Because the element is at a depth z from the top of the backfill, the vertical stress sigma 3 is sigma 1, that is equal to gamma z. So in the Kosu backfill, the active earth pressure is given by PA is equal to 1 minus sin phi by 1 plus sin phi into gamma z minus 2c cos phi by 1 plus sin phi. Already in the portionless backfill, we know this ratio 1 minus sin phi by 1 plus sin phi is Ka, the coefficient of active earth pressure, and cos phi by 1 plus sin phi is root Ka. We know that the coefficient of active earth pressure Ka is equal to 1 minus sin phi by 1 plus sin phi. If I simplify that by using the trigonometric relationships, cos phi by 1 plus sin phi is root Ka. So the equation 2 is also simplified as the active earth pressure PA in the Kosu soils. In the Kosu backfill, the active earth pressure PA is equal to Ka into gamma z minus 2c into root Ka. Whereas in the portionless soil backfill, active earth pressure according to Rankin's earth pressure theory, in the portionless backfill, active earth pressure PA is equal to only Ka into gamma z. Whereas in the Kosu soils, Kosu backfill, the active earth pressure PA is equal to Ka into gamma z minus 2c into root Ka. This is the active earth pressure equation when the backfill is a Kosu soil. In the portionless soils, the active earth pressure PA is equal to Ka gamma z. Whereas in the Kosu soils, when the backfill is a Kosu soil, the active earth pressure PA is equal to Ka into gamma z minus 2c into root Ka. That equation 3 is called the Bell's equation. The Bell's equation to find out the active earth pressure when the backfill is a Kosu backfill. So first we consider the Rankin's active earth pressure theory. In the Kosu backfill, first we consider the backfill is in rest condition. We consider the soil element in the backfill at a depth z. The soil element subjected to two normal stresses sigma v, sigma h. Then we prepare the Morse stress circle 1 in the rest condition by using those stresses sigma v, sigma h. Then when the active condition starts, when the retaining wall starts moving away from the backfill, sigma h gradually decreases. We got the second Morse stress circle. If the retaining wall further moving away from the backfill at one stage, sigma h becomes minimum. The backfill is in failure condition. That is called the plastic equilibrium of backfill. At that plastic equilibrium, the minimum sigma h is called the active earth pressure in the Kosu backfill. Then we discuss the determination of active earth pressure PA in the Kosu backfill. We got that equation of PA in the Kosu backfill. Active earth pressure in Kosu backfill PA is equal to Ka into gamma z minus 2c into root Ka. This is the equation of the active earth pressure when the backfill is a Kosu backfill. If the backfill is portionless backfill, the quotient C becomes 0. So the equation 3 becomes as PA is equal to KA into gamma Z. That already we discussed in the quotientless backfill. So this is the equation of the active earth pressure when the backfill is a cohesive backfill. So with this, I am going to stop the today's class. If anybody is having doubt in this equation of PA for the cohesive backfill, you please discuss with me. If anybody is having doubt in this equation of cohesive backfill, equation of the active earth pressure in cohesive backfill, you please discuss with me.